Hello, my name is Mira and I'm the maker behind MIRAS Knits on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. And this will be my first episode of my new series on my knitting diaries. So I decided to try something new just because I didn't feel good doing the traditional knitting podcast format, I guess. So I felt pressured to buy and also knit and finish a lot of things. This wasn't so good for my well-being, so I decided to try this knitting diaries, where I just want to do weekly updates, about stuff or all my knitted relating stuff. It could be, of course, finished objects and other things that are in a knitting podcast, but I won't have a normal format for all these things. So I will just in the beginning shortly tell you what I will talk about in this video, and if that's nothing for you, maybe you need to wait for the next knitting diary series. So that's just something I want to try to feel better doing these videos, and if it's not working out, I'll try something else because I really like sharing my knitting journey with all of you. We're getting quite a lot of people, and this also puts a bit pressure on me. I think I'll grow with that over time. So yes, I hope that this knitting diary series will take off the pressure of me and I can enjoy knitting again, I guess. Because I always felt like I have to knit something and show you progress, and I always felt bad if I did pick up something or I just knit 2 rows, and I think that's not how it should be. Everyone is different with their knitting. Some people just knit on one thing. I like to knit on like 20 things. I always have so many whips. Maybe I have too many, but that's just me. I like to knit on all of my knits just a bit, and then that's how I'll do it. Everyone does it different, but yes. So maybe something about myself. First, just because this is a new series that I don't know if the people that watch my knitting podcast will watch this series, just because it's so different. So yes, my name is Mira. I'm 22 years old now, and I moved, exactly, I guess. So now it's like 1 year and 1 or 2 months. I moved to the north of Germany, to the Baltic Sea, and I study here, and I share my knitting online. And yes, so I moved here with my boyfriend, and all our family lives in Berlin, so I'm often also in Berlin. But you will see, I'll talk about that, I guess, when it's time. So yes, in this knitting diary series, I'll talk about finished objects, then on designing my own. So I started designing my own patterns, and also started to try to dye, or not try, but to dye my own yarn. And right now I'm just trying out some different suppliers and bases and dyeing techniques and I guess dye and all that kind of stuff. Just because I would love to do this in the future. But right now I'm still trying a lot of things. But I think I found my supplier. We'll see. But I'll talk about all of that in my projects I show you. Then I'll talk about my gift knitting plans, because I had a last minute gift knitting plan, I guess, because I have until the 20th of December to finish block and sew it all the ends on my gift knits, because then we're driving to Berlin to our families, and then we do a before Christmas celebration, I guess. It's just because me and my family on my dad's side, we always travel around Christmas to Austria. to go skiing, and we all snowboard, but I know it's called skiing. And yeah, that's kind of family tradition. We were doing it for, I don't know, over 10 years, I guess now. We stopped, of course, when there was Corona, but yeah, we went last year and this year again. So yeah, and then of course we celebrate Christmas with my mom's side of family, or just with my mom, because my mom's side lives in Bavaria. And her partner on the 23rd, and on the 22nd I celebrate Christmas with the family of my boyfriend. So I guess I have quite a lot of Christmases, but that's how we always do it. And yeah, so so my gift knitting plans, and then I talk about my objects I ran out of yarn with. That's something I want to include because I see a pattern with me. Always just not buying enough yarn. Or it's not that I don't buy enough yarn, it's that I buy yarn for a certain project and then I decide to use the yarn for a different project. But you'll see. And yeah, then I'll talk about finally sewing on all my ends of my finished 10 pairs of my 52 weeks of socks. So I knitted the first 10 weeks, is it in this book, of the 52 pairs of socks. And I finally can wear them. Took me a couple of months to weave in the ends. I don't even know why, because it got cold and I was always like, oh, I need to weave in some ends so I can wear my knitted socks because they're of course warmer. I don't know why I didn't do it. But I finally gave in, I guess, and did it. And then at the end of the video I'll show you a little clip of all the socks I knitted, I guess. So if you're interested in this, keep on watching. And yes, so let's start with my finished object. So I'm wearing my finished object. Actually, this is my first ever sweater I knitted. I knitted cardigans before. When I started knitting, I was a cardigan knitter. I don't really know why, because I think knitting sweaters is just so much faster, and normally there's not a lot of purling you need to do. But what I found out when I was knitting more cardigans, my knit stitches and purl stitches were very equal. Is that how you can call it? And now my purl stitches are always way too loose. So I guess it's bad that I stopped knitting cardigans. I don't know. But yeah, that's something I found out with knitting on one of my gift knits, because it's a wrap cardigan. And I found out that my purl stitches are always way off. So I hope, or maybe I should knit cardigans again. I was really proud of my gauge because it was actually quite perfect. With my purl and knit stitches, and now I guess it's really off. It's not really off, but it's not that you can see it, but I can see it. You know, when you look on the purl side, sometimes you see that the Abstände, the parts between, or the stitches, or some are more apart than others, and somehow that's really bothering me. So I'm happy that this is just a gift knit. Maybe sometimes you won't see it when it was blocked, so I guess with that, because the difference is not that much. But yeah, that's something I found out about my knitting style, I guess. And yeah, so that's something I also want to talk more about here. So when I have something I found out about myself, and maybe I can share some tips and things like that. Yeah, so I find it better to do it in this format, just because I feel with knitting podcasts, there's a certain direction everybody goes, and I think that's what people want you to do when they click on your videos, and that's why I named it different. Of course, I could also call it knitting podcast, but then I'm afraid that people would want me to knit in the normal pattern, I guess, and talk about the normal subject. So so my Acanthus sweater is my finished object. I know I drove off there. Yeah, this is a sweater by twinknits, and I knitted the sweater. So the ribbing is knitted in 2.5 millimeters and the lace pattern is knitted in 3.5 millimeters. So that's US size 4. I took some notes because I always feel bad that I talk about millimeters and never know the US sizes. So the 3.5 millimeters is US size 4 and the 2.5 is US size 1.5. Yeah, so maybe something about sizes. That's something I'm not so comfortable sharing. I'll put it, or maybe not comfortable. It's not a problem for me to share what size I knit. It's just my measurements. So I won't talk about my measurements. And I know because it triggers me quite a lot, so I can feel with people that get triggered by sizing. So I put the sizes I knit in my not my comments, in the description of the video for everything. I'll share sizes of baby knits, I guess, and socks, just because that's not something I feel uncomfortable with or never felt. There was never something that triggered me, but if that's something that triggers you, I won't do that in my next videos. Maybe you can share it down below. Yeah, so it's just something, yeah, body image, it was always hard for me. And yeah, I know that a lot of people struggle with it. And then around Christmas, it was always the hardest time for me, just because you eat a lot. At least in Germany, you bake cookies and you have your Lebkuchen and all that kind of stuff. So you always gain weight over the holidays. I guess that's with everyone, because every country has their own things they do. But in Germany, we eat a lot of sweets. And yes, so that's just something I want to tell. So I won't share my measurements, just because I think even if it's down in the description, I found myself, because I know more podcasters do this, that they share their measurements in their description box, but I found myself just looking for the measurements to compare myself. So that's just why I won't share them. I know that's maybe hard to compare how the sweater will look on you when you see it on me, but yeah, I try to do or include a little video of me wearing it. Yeah, maybe you will see how I look, I guess. And then maybe, yeah, if it's harder for you, that I guess I'm not helpful. But I really want to feel good doing these videos, and I don't want to feel uncomfortable. If that's not for you, I'm sorry, maybe then don't watch my videos, but I want everyone to feel comfortable on here, and I also want to myself to feel comfortable, because mental health is something I struggled with a lot in my life. I won't go deeper than that, but yeah, so I'm always try to make everybody feel comfortable and make myself feel comfortable. So if ever you don't feel comfortable, just tell me, and I try to do better the next time, I guess. But yeah, so we drove off again, but I think these are really important sections, and just because this is a new series, I want to include it. So yes. So again, Acanthus Sweater by Twinknits. It's knitted in this really pretty lace pattern. I do more close-up shots while I'm talking, I guess. So yeah, I knitted this in Druyts alpaca. Druyts alpaca is 100% alpaca and 50 gram, 167 meters. It is a sport weight yarn. And I used color 7323, and yeah, I bought for this pattern 7 balls, so that equals €16.10. I'll include the full price for the balls I paid. I used 6 balls and not 7, but yeah, I bought the yarn for the sweater, so I want to include this price. And yeah, so I also used the Druyts Kid Silk. It has 75% mohair and 25% silk, 25 gram and 210 meters, and it is a lace weight yarn, and I use colors 47, and I bought 6 boards. That equals 22 euros 20, and total this sweater cost me 38 euros and 30 cents. Yeah, so yeah, these are the deets or specifics of the sweater. And yeah, the sweater took me a long time knitting, just because I was on Sleeve Island for forever. The body went down quite fast, and because it's a repeated stitch lace pattern, I don't know if that's how you say it, I think it repeats every 4 rows, 3 rows, 5 rows, something about that. And yeah, so it's always the same. So you knit a couple of rows and then you do the yarn overs, and that's how you create the lace pattern. And yeah, I really like the lace. And then also it's knitted on 3.5 millimeters, so it takes a lot longer. But yeah, so I really like the lace pattern. I'm really proud of myself, and I really like how the color looks on me. In the video it always looks quite dark, or more dark. It's really bluish sagey green. It's more in the green side than on the blue side. It always looks light blue in the camera. So it's always hard for me to capture the colors, even on my Instagram. So I try, or maybe a teal green, but it's lighter than teal, so I guess you have to buy it yourself to see it. But that's how I would yeah, describe it. Yeah, I really love the lace pattern, but I think the yarn choice is not for me. But it's not the alpaca. I feel like, I know that a lot of people find alpaca itchy. I don't, but I feel the Drops Kid Silk is just a bit too itchy for me. I still wear it and I still will use it, just because it's the cheaper alternative to all the more expensive and inclusive yarn. But I guess now I dye my own mohair, so I don't have to use it anymore. And yeah, I have my own mohair. I feel much more comfortable wearing. Oh, I guess not wearing, but it's way softer. I haven't knit something in my mohair. I only dyed up some. But I have so many whips right now that I don't have needle cords. So I have interchangeables needles, so you have a cord and you put on your needles wherever you want to. But I don't have any more cords. And I have a lot of cords. I think I have around 6 or 8 of 80 centimeters, and then a lot of just shorter ones of 40 centimeters and 60 centimeters. So I have enough, but I have many unfinished objects I don't think I will finish. So I need to rip them out, but that's something we'll do in the future, because I don't want to deal with that right now. But yeah, so it's a bit itchy, but then again, when something is itchy, I always feel warmer just because it's prickled on your skin, and then it's nice, or I always feel warmer, so I like putting on itchy things when I'm cold. Yeah, I guess it's has something to do with your blood cycle, just because when your skin gets irritated, there's more blood running. And then of course it gets warmer. I'm not a doctor, but I think that has something to do with that. And yes, so I only feel a bit uncomfortable on my neck, because my neck is always really sensitive and it's a bit itchy there, but I think it's okay and I can use it, so it's not too itchy. But that's something you need to keep in mind if you want to knit this pattern. Maybe use a different mohair or different even yarn, because alpaca is also very itchy for some. So yeah, next on to my next section, where I want to talk about designing my own patterns and I guess dyeing my own yarn. Yeah, so as I said, I started designing my own patterns, and because I was still knitting the 52 weeks of socks, I needed some more sock needles, because I wanted my first pattern to be just a plain sock, because I wanted to do a tutorial on this channel, since I had some people question me about my sock, what's it called, stitches and all that kind of stuff. So I decided I would do just a simple vanilla sock pattern of how I knit my socks, and my gauge, I guess. I know there are a lot of patterns out there, so I don't even know if people are interested in that, but yeah, so I want to do a free tutorial on YouTube on the sock patterns, and then I also try to write them up and put them on Ravelry. And yeah, so let's go to I guess my first work in progress, and this one is still a work in progress because I ran out of space on my computer, so I wasn't able to record any videos. I'm sorry, the sound is my dog. I don't know if you could see it. It's here she is. So if you hear some weird sounds, that's my dog. And yes, so where was I? Oh, it's not finished because I ran out of space on my computer, and that's why I needed to buy new space, I guess. So and now I can. As you see, I'm recording a video, and yeah, so this is also yarn dyed by me. So we have, this is again the sock, and yeah, I'm knitting this sock. So it's called, I'm not quite sure, so maybe I won't include the name I think of. So yeah, it's just a simple vanilla sock pattern. We'll see about the name, but I'm knitting this on 2.5mm needles, so it's a US 1.5. Yeah, so as I said, it's hand dyed yarn by me. Yeah, we have a white yarn base or light yarn base with some blue and gray speckles, more blue than gray, and then we also have a blue or variegated yarn with just a lot of blue tones, and it's, I guess, darker because of that, because there's not white in it or not many lighter colors. And yeah, I'm using a 75% wool and 25% polyamide base. So 100 gram is 420 meters, and it's a 4-ply fingering weight. I won't be using this yarn base just because I don't like how it feels when it's knitted up. So as I said, I'm trying out some different yarn bases from different suppliers, and I just feel that sock yarn can be softer. So it's not itchy, but it's more on the rougher side, I would say. So yeah, and then also for me, it's not really a fingering weight yarn. I know with the meters and all of that, but normally I knit my socks with 60 stitches and I know how they fit, and when I knit it with this yarn, it's bigger. So I use the same needles, but yeah, so it won't be the base I will dye up, but I still have a lot of yarn dyed in that base, because I use the base to try out different dye techniques. Because you have to always order yarn in bulk, and then you have a kilo, and so that's 10 skeins, and I tried some techniques on them and different colors. So I still will use this, but I will just use it for me. So yeah, and that's the same with all the bases I'm showing you. So I won't be using all of the bases I'm showing you, but I guess I wanted to try it out because I want to give you the best I can, I guess. So I'm still using the yarn I dyed, but that's not the basis I will sell. But yeah, so you'll see which ones I use, but they feel a lot better, and yeah, so I'm more happy with using them and selling them. So yeah, so next on we have another sock pattern I'm doing. So in this sock pattern we have it has more techniques, but to be honest, it's really easy to knit. I know it sounds a lot when I tell you with color work and brioche and double knitting, but it's all not a lot, and then it's, I think, really easy. So we have on the cuff a 1x1 color work, so this part is color work, as you can see here. And then we have a brioche part, and then we have the heel and the underfoot part and toe in double knitting, and the rest is in brioche. Yeah, I'm also doing a YouTube tutorial for this one. It's not that far away, not quite far, but maybe in my next video you'll see more of it. So for this one, I'm also using the same yarn, and it's yeah, the same 75% wool and 25% polyamide, and I have a red, more variegated yarn, and then we have a lighter yarn with brown speckles and beige speckles. Yes, so what I like about these socks is that they are very soft and sturdy, and yeah, I also tried some different merino bases to try dyeing tonals, just because I'm more of a tonal person when I want to knit garments, and with variegated yarn I just knit socks most of the time. So we have inspired by these socks. I'm right now knitting on a shawl, because I also knitted a hat, you'll see them next, and yeah, so I'm knitting a shawl, and yeah, I'm knitting this on 3mm needles, so it's a US 2.5, and I'm using my hand dyed in a light red and a light beige tonal. Yeah, so I won't be using this yarn just because for me it's too stretchy and I feel like it's harder to knit with, and it doesn't feel like wool, you know, it feels more like plastic, and that's just something I don't want to be selling. Yeah, so it's a fingering weight, and with this shawl pattern I use brioche and I-cord. And yeah, so it's wearable from both sides, of course, because of the knitting techniques I choose. And yeah, I'm writing up this pattern, so there won't be a tutorial. I guess you have to buy this one. Yeah, I think I'll start selling this on Ravelry and then maybe in the future on my website. But yeah, as I said, the website will take a longer time, so we'll see. And yeah, so inspired, or I guess the hat came first. But yeah, the order is better for me like that. You'll see why. I also knitted a hat. So it's the hat. It has the same technique. So you have a colorwork brim, I guess. I need to weave in the ends, but you have a colorwork brim. And then you just have, so it's you have to, it looks like that because you knit the colorwork a bit more, about a couple centimeters, and then you start the brioche knitting, and then we have the decreases. And yeah, so you have 3 layers over your ears. I decided to do that because I'm living in the north of Germany on the beach, and it's quite windy where I live, and I always have problems with warm ears or hats covering, or knitted hats covering my ears. And yeah, so I will always knitted the brims longer, but because I don't know, maybe that's just me. I hope it's not just me, but when I wear knitted hats I always sweat a lot on my head because it's just too warm on my top of my head, and I guess too cold on my ears. So I decided to do 3 layers on my ears, also for the wind. That's why I also choose colorwork knitting, because it's even tighter, so the wind don't blows through. And then I decided to do the brioche on the top of the head to let more air through, so it's not that warm. I'm using 3mm needles, so that's a US 2.5. Yeah, so I'm knitting, I'm also doing a YouTube tutorial for this hat and write up the pattern. And with the YouTube tutorial I decided to do a gift knit for my boyfriend. So this is his version. It's in a light grey tonal and a sage green tonal. It will look like that, so it's I love how that looks, and it feels even better. So with that I'm using a 3D yarn and the sage green, but I think I won't be using this tweed yarn. It feels amazing, it knits up amazing, but the tweed effect is not that visible. maybe you can see it. It looks more like you spit some food on it than it's a treat. So it's just not a heavy treat. I like that it's not the heaviest treat, but it looks weird because it is too light of a treat. So on to my other gift knitting plans. As maybe some of you know, I'm knitting the zipper sweater man for my boyfriend, but I don't know if I will, so it's this one. I don't know if I'll keep knitting this one for my boyfriend or more for me. Just because I think it might be too itchy for my boyfriend. I know it looks tiny and we tried it on him and it fits. But just because my boyfriend, it's the first knitted thing for my boyfriend. I knitted him some hats, but it's the first garment and I think it's too itchy for him. We'll see about that. So I'll finish it, maybe not for Christmas because he has enough gifts for me, but sometime in the future. So it's not the priority to finish this one. Maybe I finish it, maybe not. Yeah, but however, I'm knitting this one on 5mm needles. That's a US 8. And I'm using 2 strands of Drops Flora. It has 65% wool and 35% alpaca and 50 grams per 210 meters. It's a 4-ply fingering weight yarn. And I'm using for the sweater the color 05. And I bought 12 balls. So the total cost of this sweater is €19.20, which is really good for a gift knit. And that's why I'm not that mad if it won't fit him, so we'll see about that. Yeah, something I changed. I am doing twisted ribbing instead of the normal 1x1 ribbing that's described in the pattern, just because I think it looks better and it holds better than just 1x1 ribbing. I always feel like 1x1 ribbing just grows too much and it won't come back. So twisted ribbing always comes back, so you can stretch it and it comes back, and with twisted ribbing it won't come back most of the times, or if you do it too often. So that's why I decided to do twisted rib. Yeah, so next on to the last minute gift knit, I guess. So the last minute gift knit is a baby knit, because so my sister became a baby or her second, and so I became I'm already an aunt, but I guess now I'm an aunt to 2 kids. And yeah, so I'm knitting this one for my nephew. However, I really love the color choice and the yarn I dyed and how it looks. So maybe I have enough, so maybe I knit a second one for myself, or I keep that one and knit him something else. Just because I think it's so pretty. So for this one I'm knitting the Olive, what's it called? Olive Wrap by Knitting for Olive on 3mm needles. So it's a US 2.5. Yeah, so as I said, I include sizes for baby knits. If that's something that triggers you, tell me. So I'm knitting this in the 6-month size, just because right now he's 3 months, and I know he's a baby boy. I know they're much bigger from my experience, so I did babysitting for a long time, and I know how fast babies grow. So that's also why I decided to knit a wrap cardigan, just because that's easier or better for babies when they're on their tummy, if there are no buttons like cardigans. And then it's also easier for the parents to put it on and off as a sweater. So that's why a lot of people like wrap things for their babies. So that's why I'm knitting a wrap cardigan. Yeah, so I'm using a green variegated yarn by me. That was more of a fail, so I can't dye it again, I'm sure. But it looks awesome. It looks so good. And then I'm also using the light beige I used in my hat and shawl. It's so tiny and cute, and it goes by really fast. So the progress you're seeing was knitted in just 1 day, or more, half a day, because I started this around 3 o'clock. And yeah, so it goes by really fast, even when it's size 6 months. But then again, I only knitted on this one yesterday because I need to finish this if I want to use it, or if I decide to knit a different color. I need to knit this one too, but I think I'll gift him this one and maybe knit another one, or I guess when it's time for that, because I would have stored this one for a long time. So I think when it's time for me, I can knit this pattern again with different, or maybe I can storage the yarn. We'll see about that in the future. So yes, so next on yarn I need to buy to finish some of my knits. I just talk about one because the other one is so old, I don't think it's worth mentioning. So this one is the sweater number 20 by MyFavoriteThingsKnitwear. As I talked in my previous videos, I'll switched up a lot of the cabling just because I think it looks prettier, so I turned around some cabling and yes, so maybe you can see it. So in the front I think I switched the cabling because I wanted it to look better on the shoulder where you pick up the stitches. And right now I'm on my first sleeve, but I know that the yarn is not enough because I only have one yarn left, one ball of the Druyts Lima left, and I know that this is not enough. So I need to buy the yarn again, but right now it's out of stock. So we hope that we can find the yarn again, and then we also hope that the dye lot is not too different. So you see, then again it's just the arms, so if the dye lot is different, maybe I just knit the 2 arms in the same dye lot and then it looks like it's supposed to look like that, when just the arms are in a different color than the body. So we'll see. So for the sweater I'm using a 4.5 and 5.5 millimeter needles, so that's a US 7 and 9. The Druyts Lima has 65% wool and 35% alpaca, and 50 gram have 100 meters. It's a worsted weight, and I use the color 9021. I bought 11 balls, but as I said, more were needed. So this adds up to €16.50. And I'm also using 1 strand of the Druyts Kit Silk that has 75% mohair, 25% silk. 25 gram are 10 meters, and it's a lace weight. And I'm using color 36. I bought 6 balls. That adds up to €22.20. I think it's enough, so I won't buy a 7th ball. And the total cost is €38.70. Yes, as I said in the beginning, I tend to switch up the patterns I buy the yarn for. So this yarn was originally for the Ingrid sweater by Petiteknit, but then I just didn't like the pattern anymore. With the Ingrid sweater, at first when she came out with the pattern, I was like, oh no, that's nothing for me. And then everybody was knitting it and I was just like, why? I know everybody's different. It's not that I don't like them anymore. I think, how could you do that? But it's just, when you don't like a pattern and everybody's knitting it, you just wonder why you don't like it, I guess. So I was influenced and I was like, oh, it's not that bad, so I'll knit it. And then I had the yarn and I was knitting on something else. I don't know what I was knitting on at that time. But then I decided to knit a cable sweater because then it was getting colder and Christmas is around the corner and I wanted a cable sweater. And then I was looking, and it was at the time where Petiteknit came out with the Mowry sweater, but I don't like the Mowry sweater as well. I don't really get why everybody's knitting it. But of course, if you want to knit it, you can. Don't let me influence you. But I decided I don't want to get influenced because I just don't like the pattern. I don't like how the shoulder construction, not the construction, but when you pick up for the sleeves, you have in the bigger sizes a lot of the garter stitch, and I don't like how that looks. Maybe, of course, you could do the pattern differently. I could just not knit that and start with the cabling. But no, you can, because it's in a shoulder construction. I think that was the problem, because I thought about thinking that, but that's the thing that was bothering me. So I decided to knit the, so it was a run, I don't even know between which sweaters, but I decided to knit the sweater number 20 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I'm really in love with the pattern. I'm quite sad that I can't finish it for Christmas. I really wanted to wear it on Christmas Eve. So yeah, so I guess now I have to wear my Acanthus sweater. I know it's not in Christmas colors, but who cares? My family doesn't care. We're not the kind of family that dresses up a lot. We just go out for dinner and then do the Christmas celebration. I know in some countries it's different, but we celebrate on the 24th in the evening, and we still have, so my little brother is now 8 and he still believes in the, I don't know who it's called, Weihnachtsmann, so Christmas man, I don't know, but it's the one, oh, Santa. So he brings the presents and he still believes in it, so we still have to play all that stuff. So we see if he thinks that there's a Santa next year, but I don't really care. I think it's cute. But so we always open presents around 6 o'clock most of the time, just because all the kids can't, we're quite a large family and all the kids can't contain themselves and want to open the presents. I'm not like that anymore, but I was, of course, as a child, so I can understand. But I guess that's just our family tradition. And yes, so that's about the sweater number 20. And now we move on to the 52 weeks of sock check section, but I think I'll finish, oh no, I have one to show you. So I'm knitting on my 11th pair. So these are the morning coffee socks by Valentina Consali. I'm knitting this one on 2.5mm needles, so it's a US 1.5. And I'm using a superwash merino and superwash alpaca. I don't know the brands anymore because I bought this yarn over a year ago. And but these are both fingering weight yarns and they're really soft. However, I find the alpaca yarn not good for socks because the stitches stretch too much. Maybe that's the case with alpaca, because I just thought, because this was the alpaca yarn for socks, so I think it has nylon in it, I don't even know, but it was really for socks, so it was an alpaca sock yarn, so I thought it's okay. As I said, I finally finished sewing in the ends of my 10 other pairs, and yeah, I used the same yarn combination and needle size for all my yarns, so I used the 2.5mm 1.5 US needle, and I used the La Mana Verida. It contains of 50% merino, 25% silk and 25% polyamide. So in the little videos I will just tell you the color. So I really like the yarn, but I find that the different colors, I know they don't have different weights, but they have different thicknesses. So that's something you need to keep in mind, I think. So the lighter colors are thicker than the darker colors. I don't know if that's just something I experienced because I've got a bad ball. I don't know, maybe some of you can share your experiences if you use the yarn in different colors, but I find that the lighter colors are way bigger, so really you can see a difference. You can see it on my Lempi socks, so it's the 10th pair. There you can see the difference between the red and the light gray, really good, even after blocking. So wait for that to yeah, see my point. But yes, so I will just talk about the colors. So first we have the intersection socks by Marceline Smith. I knitted these socks in color 33, so it's a really light red. I really like the cable pattern and they just look good. I made a small mistake. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but yeah, I switched up the cables somewhere, but it's not noticeable. I just noticed it last week. I wore them before, but yeah, as I said, I just noticed it last week. Next we have The Avena socks by Natalia, Vasilieva. I'm sorry, but the names are already hard for me to pronounce in this book. And I use color 64, so it's a light sage green. That's my favorite color. So if you want to buy a ball of this yarn, buy this color. If you of course like sage green, but it's really, really pretty. So next we have the Jili socks by Berkimbayeva in color 03. So it's really pretty light gray. Next we have the Branches by Amanda Jones in color 16. These are really pretty lace socks and I really love the color choice, and maybe with lace you always need to choose lighter colors to really see the lace pattern, but I think with these socks it's okay. When you wear them you can see the lace pattern. Next we have the Unity by Niina Tanskanen. I knitted these ones in the color 00. These are my favorite socks by far for now. It's a really pretty white, but something I didn't know at first, and these are also cable socks. I don't think they look like it, but they are, so keep that in mind if you want to knit it. Next we have the Craspedia socks by Andrea Mowry. These took me some time because they have a lot of cables, so every other row is cabling and then you have bubbles. I knitted them in color 04, so they're really dark, but you can still see the pattern when you wear them. I don't know if you can see it on the video. Next we have the Rocking Chair socks by Pauliina, Karru in color 05. These are the ones, I find that the color 05 is the one that's the biggest. Or yeah, so keep that in mind. Maybe don't use the 05 or use the 05 with less stitches. Next are the Porch Light socks by Lindsey Fowler. I knitted these in color 03 and 28. I love these socks. I think they're so pretty. I forgot to do the bubbles on the first socks, so I decided to not do the bubbles in the second socks. I just recognized it way down. Next we have the Imker socks by Nele Druyts in color 00, so they're also white. These took me not that long. I don't know why, because they're also all over cable socks. But yeah, they just went by really fast, so I guess I'm happy about that. So lastly we have the Lempi socks by Rachel Coopey. I use color 33, 64 and 05. Maybe you can see that the 05 is way bigger than the 33, so the red one. And yes, so these are all of my 52 weeks of socks I knitted so far. Yeah, I think I will do a short break, or maybe not short break, but I will do a break with knitting these socks, just because I have so many ideas in my head I want to knit first. So there are a lot of sock patterns coming from me your way. I know it takes me some time, but I guess you have to wait if you like a pattern. And yeah, I'm new to all of that, so it's a bit harder for me to do all of this. And yes, so maybe you can tell me down below if you're still here on which socks you knitted, or which socks from the book you knitted, or yeah, which one you really want to knit, and maybe we can share or talk something about this topic in the comments down below. I hope you liked the video. Please give me a short, I don't know what you call it, expression, how you like the new series, if that's something for you, or maybe some improvements I can make, or things you want me include too. Maybe I haven't thought about things you really would like to see for me, so tell me that too, and I hope I'll see you next week. So bye!